Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the newest episode of the Theater Enthusiast podcast. Oh, I said it differently. Normally, I'm like Theater Enthusiast podcast. I'll add it in there for you. I told her as soon as she came onto the Zoom, I'm so delighted to talk to you. Honestly, I have just been a fan of yours since I saw you in Be More Chill. And just all of the things that you've done, and it's always such a joy to see you when you're doing anything. It really is, or at least for me.
You.
I don't want to speak for everybody in the world, but let's introduce you. Tiffany Mann is here. Yay! And just,
Thank you so much for
yeah.
having me.
Of course. Again, I'm so thrilled that you're here. I didn't even mention this before, but I have a friend who was in Ragtime. They were a swing, and I
Uh,
saw them after, and I got to meet you for a hot second and just like fangirl over you. And you were so lovely then too. So,
oh,
yeah,
thank
it was,
you.
yeah, of course. And so, like I said, I'm so thrilled to talk to you. You've had a pretty wonderful, I don't want to sound cliche, but journey and career path. But
Mhm.
also, what I really like about you and your story is that, and I hope you don't take this the wrong way, you're a hustler. You
Baby,
go
yes,
after,
I am.
you go after what you want. You have such positive energy. You put that out there. You tell people to go after it. You even have a song that if I do it anyway, and I really hope you don't take this the wrong way, but I really want to see a RuPaul Drag Race lip sync battle to your.
Please, that would be a dream come true. Are you kidding me? I couldn't take that the wrong way.
I just I first listened to it. I'm like, I want this on Drag Race. I want this
Yes,
played at a gay bar. I
absolutely.
just
Please.
I want this out in the world. I want it to be like the gay anthem.
Yes.
And it's such a good positive message. And even looking at your Instagrams and you being so positive and being like, yo, just do it. Or just oh, you see this? You gotta fucking pardon my French, do it anyway.
Mhm.
I think you're so wonderful. So, but let's start at the very beginning. Where are you from?
Well, I'm originally from Texas, like the Dallas area, Fort Worth to be
Yeah.
exact. If you're
Yeah.
from that area, you know that you have to make like there's a difference
Yeah.
and you have to make sure that people know that there's a difference. So I'm from Fort Worth originally, born and raised there, and now I've been in the city hustling.
Hustling. Every day you've been hustling. Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you were even a waitress at Ellen Stardust.
Yeah. Ellen Stardust Diner. Uh, I had been living in the city for maybe a year or so, and I heard about this diner where people sing, and I was waiting tables before I moved to New York at a place that's no longer in existence called Macaroni Grill, and
I feel like I've heard of that.
and we used to have to sing happy birthday in Italian to
Mhm.
people for their birthdays, and I would be the designated singer and all that kind of stuff. So I felt like it was right up my alley. I
Yeah.
already know how to wait tables and I know how to sing, so let's
Yeah.
go make this money. And so I went and auditioned, and that has been a true gift and a true bridge between the gigs. And as I'm transitioning, or when you hear all those no's and all that kind of stuff, I will go and slang some cheeseburgers and sing a show tune, hun, because these bills keep coming. Even though the show
Yeah.
stopped, the bills keep coming.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very grateful for that, as a soft place to land.
So, waitress reference.
Yeah. So you got
Yeah,
that? You got that? You got that?
I
Okay.
did. I will say, being a waitress, because, from personal experience, I'm a very lucky person. There's a lot of shit that has happened and is happening currently in my life. But I always think back to how lucky am I? And there's always that part of Waitress where it's may we all be so lucky.
Ah,
And I always
yes.
I'm getting emotional talking about it, but I always sing that to myself. At
That's
certain
so
point,
beautiful.
even walking through Central Park, I'm like, look at where we are. I love
Yeah.
Central Park. May we all be so lucky. And I literally
Right.
sing that to myself.
I got the absolute honor and privilege to play the role of Becky next to Sarah Bareilles for a little hot second. And when we were rehearsing, and all that, that's during, she's like baking a pie, and there's all this choreography, and you got to make sure you crack the egg on the two and all this stuff. And we got to the part, may we all be so lucky. And I looked, I was like, just fangirling and screaming inside, but I tried to be a professional. But it's she wrote the shit out of that score,
Hmm.
and really tapped into like the deepest parts of our hearts and the gratitude and the humanity. She really did such an incredible job with that piece. And she's just so cool. Okay.
I
That's my
just
waitress for
I
you.
should know this, but I'm brain farting. Were you in the like Waitress 2.0 Broadway reopening?
Okay, check this. So,
Okay, I'm
um,
sitting. I'm here.
so I was in the original iteration, not original cast, but like the first open
Yeah,
show that was open on Broadway. I came in and out for like a couple of three month stints, and so I heard that the other one was opening, and that they were in rehearsals and all that kind of stuff. And I get a phone call, and was like, "Hey," and this is at the height of the pandemic, and people were
yeah.
getting sick, and they were like, "Hey, can you come in?" And play this role that you haven't touched since 2018 tomorrow. Can you come in and play that? And I was like,
I think I
what?
remember this. Yeah,
Yeah. And
they
so
just
I
threw you
ended up
in.
opening the actual 2.0 version. I was
Yeah.
there on opening night.
Well,
Um,
I say that because I too was there opening night,
yeah,
and it was such a wild experience because there was a standing ovation
before
before
the
the
show
show
started.
even started. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was the very first musical to open back on Broadway, and the audiences were salivating for this type of gathering and this type of storytelling, and the actors were so excited to be back on stage and get back in the game. And
Mhm.
so it was a wall of sound before we sang a note. um that was wild. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll get there. So, so you grew up going to the church, and I say that because you were in the choir.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like all about the choir, and you were also, I wrote this down somewhere. Oh my God, Texas Girl Choir or something?
The Texas Girls Choir and the Singing Girls of Texas. So I grew up in the church, was at church, I say 8 days a week. Um, and so like, we were in choir rehearsals there and things like that. And that's where I found my love of singing and my understanding of music. And so my mom saw that and wanted to cultivate that. And so she put me in Texas Girls Choir, which is a classical, world renowned, world touring choir. And so there I began my journey of learning to read music and singing classical music and things like that. And in about eighth grade, I was ready to go to high school. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go to regular high school. I'm going to go do hood rat stuff with my friends, and we're going to be having a good time. And so my mom was like, absolutely not. We're going to go to a fine arts high school. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. It's all the nerds. They're stupid. And they had the Singing Girls of Texas there. And I learned so much about how I do what I do now
Mhm.
from that institution, from the Singing Girls of Texas. The people who were there now really cultivated me as an artist and jump started my career. But it was a lot of choral singing, a lot of choir singing, from church to the opera house to Texas to China to everywhere. It was all in that little incubation of time that started this whole thing off.
Yeah. So you went to the University of Oklahoma City University where you
Mm-hmm.
studied opera. So
I
what,
did.
yeah, so what made you decide, you know what, I'm just going to sing opera. It's going to be my jam.
Okay. I don't think I've really talked about this publicly, so you got a little exclusive. Here's the
Oh,
thing.
exclusive. Okay,
I
let me get seated again
I
with my
auditioned for the
coffee
musical
mug.
theater program,
Interesting.
and on my acceptance letter it says you have been accepted to the Bass School of Music for vocal performance, underline, italicized, bold, not musical theater. I did not get accepted into that program. Um, and I went to college a very, very, very long time ago. And thankfully things have changed, evolved. People have different outlooks. But back then there was not very many people who had the knowledge of how to cultivate a me, right? So Kristen Chenoweth and Kelly O'Hara were like the stars that made it from there. Um, and they sort of had this conveyor belt of wanting to reproduce those people. But what makes those people so special is that they are them. They are
Mhm.
authentically them. And there wasn't much space at the time in that program to cultivate individuality. And so I made a lot of great friends in that program. I have a lot of people who I consider family from that time, but hopefully and thankfully institutions are viewing people a bit differently and allowing a diversity of types to be successful within the programs.
Mhm. So once we can skip over college now since we had our exclusive. What was the whole like, let's go to New York?
Okay, so after college, which there was a person in the program who told me to quit musical theater because I wasn't going to be successful, but I'm all over their alumni page. That's another thing. But
I had a shitty time. And I talk to people on the podcast all the time, and I tell them I don't like talking about my senior year of college because people were cruel and
mhm,
it was a very like divided senior acting class.
mhm,
And it wasn't up until like 10 plus years later where some people were like, no, you were like good. You were in like X, Y,
mhm.
and Z. Like it was these other people who were like horrible. It's like, where was this? Like I had some support, but like why couldn't you tell me more of this to my face
Yeah,
senior year?
and then like you're so young, like
Hmm.
18, 19, 20.
Hmm.
The people who are in charge, you trust them and
Hmm.
trust their judgment and trust what they say and
Hmm.
internalize a lot
Yeah.
of what they say as truth. And it wasn't until after I ventured out and I auditioned for uh, Ain't Misbehaving at Jubilee Theater,
Hmm.
and I was just green. And I met this guy named Cedric Neal, who is an Olivier nominee in London now, like doing the things. Um, and he saw me. He was like, "Baby girl, you want to do this for a living?" And let me ask all kinds of crazy questions and all that sort of thing. And I started working at Zach Theater in Austin and working regionally. And so at Zach Theater in I think it was 2013, we were doing A Night with Janis Joplin. It was the regional production, co-production with Zach Theater and San Jose Rep, which I'm not sure is in existence anymore. So we were doing that show. They were like, "We're gonna take this show to Broadway," and I was like, "Oh my god, this is it! I'm going to Broadway." But it wasn't with me. They weren't even thinking about me to take
Yeah.
me to Broadway at all. I didn't live in New York. They had no clue who I was. Like, thank you for doing the work regionally, but we're actually going to take the real people to Broadway.
Hmm.
So then, unfortunately, I heard that someone had an injury of some sort and they needed an emergency replacement. I was like, I'm literally doing the show. Consider me for the emergency replacement. I know the show already. They wouldn't even look my way because they had no clue who I was because I didn't live in New York. I said, "Oh, that'll be the last time that it'll be for that reason that you don't know me. You'll know me and say, she's not a good fit for this. And that's okay. But it's not because you have no clue who I am." So I did a little fake visit to New York that turned into 2 weeks, that turned into 2 months, that turned into 11 years.
And here we are.
And here we are.
Here we are. So you get to New York. What are kind of like your first steps in you like pursuing this career? Did you hit the ground running? Were you looking at options? Like what was the experience for like you coming here fresh faced to New York?
I would be nothing without my village. I would be nothing without my community. I want to be clear about that fact because when I got to New York, everyone was like, okay, you need to go see an agent. Let me go have you talk to my agent. You need to go see this. And they really, I just had people who poured into me and guided me, and I knew nothing. I'm a girl from Texas who had never been on a subway and never been to New York and, all that kind of stuff. And so it was because of those people who poured into me when I first got in the city that I was able to start to navigate. I, when before I moved officially, like I did like a little fake visit and then went back home, packed my stuff, and officially moved. Before I did that, a friend of mine got me an audition with an agent. I ended up getting an agent and I ended up getting my first New York gig before I actually officially moved.
Mhm.
And that first gig was Sweeney Todd at Lincoln Center with Emma Thompson, with Audra McDonald. Like it was my very first New York gig. And it
Yeah.
blew my mind. And so I thought, okay, this works. Um, like you just move up in the ranks. So I started here. And after I do this, then like I'll go to Broadway. That's how it happens.
Mhm.
And it's not at all. It's not at all how that happens. But yeah, I was just a product of people helping show me the way.
Mhm.
That's it.
How was that first experience though, working on Sweeney? That being like your first, like, I mean, you said like this is it, this is like what happened. Were you just like, for me, I always said to myself, like, if I'm ever lucky enough to be in a rehearsal room with like Laura Linney or like a Kate Blanchett, I wouldn't, if I like ever go into the acting thing and I'm lucky enough to like work with them, I would literally just want to sit there and watch them and like not even participate.
Well, they had like a no cell phone policy within the rehearsal room
Hmm.
to cultivate that type of thing, because I believe that as an actor, some of the best learning happens by watching other people work through it.
Yeah.
And to I was in the chorus, and so with those gigs that are that short, the chorus usually is separate from the principal actors, and you kind of come together to put the whole thing together. So I didn't get a lot of time to watch them work, but the times that I did, I was soaking it up. I was a sponge, and I was just in disbelief that, like, I'm in big New York and like this is how it's always gonna be. Just green. Just didn't know how this thing worked. But I was so excited for the rest of the possibilities. If this is where it starts, I am so excited for the rest. Little did I know New York was gonna drop kick me in the throat several times.
But you could do it anyway. So I'm just gonna
Yeah.
referencing your song. So once Sweeney happens, what are your next steps? Is it back to the grind, auditioning, trying to get stuff?
I had many jobs just to
Mhm.
try to make sure that the bills were paid. I was babysitting. I passed out flyers in Times Square.
Were you one of
I
the Chicago girls? I always feel so bad for them. Like you need to have like such confidence to
this was
like do the Chicago ladies handing out flyers because
I
I
was on the
never.
Big Fish team. This is when Big Fish was
Mm,
open, but I did steal the Chicago girls flair, like that flick of the wrist. It
yeah.
works because
Hmm.
people are more apt to take the flyer if you got a little flick of the wrist, a little
Can I give
flick.
you like a full circle moment though? So you were handing out flyers for Big Fish that had Kate Baldwin in it,
Mm-hmm.
and you're about to do a production at City Center again.
Well,
Oh, or not.
I'm not doing that one anymore.
I
I
lied.
can't tell you why yet,
It's not
but
happening. It's
it's
okay.
not.
It's not.
But I did get a chance
Mhm.
to work on the first iteration of that show before
Okay.
the pandemic. And I remember one of those moments again where you get to watch incredible people work within a rehearsal room and discover and all that kind of stuff. And we ended up doing a run of the show just for us the day that we found out about the shutdown. We were in that room doing that show. So I cannot wait to see it on its feet in the full production at City Center. It's going to be so incredible.
Yeah. Well, I take my circle back moment back, but hold on. Um, so handing out flyers in Times Square, hustle bustle. So like you've also done a lot of regional stuff as well. So you're hustling, you're bustling. Like
Mm-hmm.
what was like after that you got like your first, I don't want to say like big job, but kind of like job where you're like secure a little bit. What was that job?
Waiting tables. And waiting tables. And what was wild about that is I'm auditioning. I'm getting up early, going to 5, 6 auditions, a day, and switching heels and jewel tone dresses, and I am doing all of those things, just really trying to make it.
Mhm.
And I was at the diner, and at this point, I had auditioned for Waitress the musical like 6 times at this point.
Mhm.
um I'd been off Broadway, thankfully, and had done a couple things. I was a swing in Invisible Thread off Broadway,
Mhm.
and I was like, I just would love to be in the show, and so I sang. Oh, no, this is how this happened. Brandon Michael Nays had a series called The Gospel of Broadway, if I'm not mistaken, and he had me sing songs, and I would do that for my friends all the time as they had different projects. We sang different arrangements of songs, and I come and do that for them. And he had this The Gospel of Broadway, I believe is the title of it, and he wanted me to sing She Used to Be Mine with a gospel arrangement. And so I went and I did that, and since I knew the song and I was at the diner, you have to sing anyway, This customer walks in at 11:55 and we close at midnight, and they want all this stuff and they want to stay for a long time. I'm ready to go home.
Hmm.
And so they were like, well, somebody has to sing. And I was like, fine, I just learned this song. There's a track in it. I need to practice it. It's fine. So I sang She Used to Be Mine at the diner, and one of my coworkers picked up a camera and recorded it and posted it. And we do that all the time. Well, that video blew up. And as a result of that, and coupled with all the hard work I'd been doing before, I ended up, with Waitress the musical, Jerry Springer the opera, um,
Oh, there's
Rise.
I for also like didn't say in your intro, so this is me. I take this. A Lortel Award winner, by the way. I
Yes,
should have like said that in your intro, so I apologize for that.
that's okay.
For the
I
Jerry Springer opera. Continue.
Yeah, Rise, that was on NBC. It was
Oh,
like,
I watched it.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. So
did. Yeah.
all those things, it came from like just staying in the hustle. I
Mhm.
was singing at the diner, when someone, it just takes a moment for that to be exposed, but the foundation of the work was already there. The
Yeah.
talent, wasn't any different. It was just that more eyes got to see it.
Yeah. I also love that you posted a video of you singing from Dreamgirls at the diner
Mm-hmm.
because you're like, people always ask me, I never wanted to do it, but then I got the role of Effie that I've always wanted to play. And so I gave it, like, I let my coworkers see me do it. So let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about doing Dreamgirls because you've done it a few times. I want to say you also
I've
did
done it
it.
3 times.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
you also did it at the Muni last year,
Yeah.
which is kind of a big thing.
Yeah, it was
Let's
wild.
talk about it. And also
Uh,
like your J Hud impression.
yeah, okay. So going back,
I'm
uh
not going to make you do it. Don't worry. People
no,
can
it's
see it
okay.
online.
They can go see it because J Hud has reposted it and seen it, and it's wild. Yeah, I booked Effie at Lyric Theater in Oklahoma, and my coworkers were like, "Man, we're not gonna get to hear you sing that song." There's certain songs I don't sing at the diner or I don't sing at certain concerts because I know if I play that role, I don't want it to be stale. I want to
Yeah.
still have access to discovery within the song. And sometimes if you do things over and over again, you lose that ability. And I felt like for me, and I'm telling you, it was one of those songs. So I wouldn't really sing it anywhere. But I sang it that one time at the diner. A friend of mine recorded it, and that one went viral. Um, and so I did it in Oklahoma, and then I I think it was like a year later. They were looking for an emergency replacement for the production that was in South Korea, and I got less than 48 hours notice to go over there. I had 3 days of rehearsal, I believe, and then I was on stage. And I even got a tattoo on my back, just like as my pat on my back, because I was like, that was hard. And
May I
I
ask
did a
what the
hard thing.
tattoo is?
It's dream in Korean, kum. It's dream in Korean. And
You get it
so
in Korea because I would be very.
I did get it in Korea, and I have seen. Actually, I was in the dressing room with one of my friends who is Korean, and she just said, "Oh, you have that on your back. That says cool." I was like, "Okay, great. It translates well. You know what it is. It's not something stupid."
Mhm.
So, I did get that there, and then I got a chance to play Effie in Dreamgirls at the Muni last summer, which was a large gap between the two times I got to play it, and I
Mhm.
got to live a lot more life
Yeah.
and really understand and ground Effie. Everyone's like, okay, she sings and she hollers these songs, but like there's a lot of story and a lot of work that you
Yeah.
have to see her go through within that show. And so I was so honored that they asked me to do that and that they trusted me to
Mhm.
do to carry that mantle. Um it the Muni is larger than you think. And then even if you say the number of seats, even if you say 10,000 people, it still doesn't register and still until you stand on that stage
Yeah.
and you see that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
um
Because you were also there for Smokey Joe's Cafe.
yeah, that was the first show there back from the pandemic.
Mhm.
And which was also scary to like, can I still sing? Am I able to do this? It's been so long. And I felt like I had to remind myself I have nothing to prove, only to share. And I had to keep reminding myself of that. during that production. But it was a lot of fun. The Muni is a fantastic place to work. St. Louis is always so welcoming, and I can't wait to whatever the next show. Anytime the Muni asks, it's a yes. It's
Yeah.
a yes for me. It's so great.
I feel like a lot of performers feel that way because you see a lot of the same performers going back to perform at the Muni, which is,
Mm-hmm.
a testament to like any, like similar to City Center. Like it's a testament to how they are with performers and artists because if you
Yeah,
treat them well, they're going to want to come back and perform with you.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did Jerry Sprint? Let's talk about your Lortel award-winning performance. How did Jerry Springer come into your life?
Jerry Springer the Opera. I got an audition. My agent sent me an audition, and I was like, "What is this thing?" And you try to do your research and go look up online a couple of clips and things like that, and I was like, "Oh, the language." And so I figured out how what I was going to do with this role, and I felt it was exciting to get an opportunity to marry my opera chops and get to belt it all within the same show, and to also like get to be a pole dancer. I had to go take pole dancing classes and figure out how my body moved in conjunction with singing. So like there was one point I was holding a pole and my head was upside down and I was belting my face off, but
Oh,
that
watch out, Honora. We're Tiffany Mann.
but it was all the training and things like that. And so it was an incredible experience. The entire creative team cultivated a safe space because the language is a little harsh. It's one of the hardest scores I've ever sang. It's such a beautiful score. But that the words, my God, they would even warn us like, don't practice your lyrics on the train. Um, just to save yourself, because you go over and like la 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 whatever, but these are some words that you don't want people thinking that you're saying to them. Um, yeah, it was an incredible experience. I'm the type to kind of put my head down and do the work. So I didn't even think about awards or wasn't aware that that was something that could happen.
Mhm.
Um, and they told me I was nominated, and I was like, okay, well, an honor to be nominated. That's cool. And right after the show closed, I ended up in Waitress the musical, and so I was flying my mom here to come see Waitress, and I was like, well, I have this award show thing that you can come to. There's an after party and free food, so come see that. So we're sitting down at the award show, and they say all the nominees, and I was like, yeah, okay, wow, I'm next to these people, and that's cool. And then they say my name again. And I'm like, why'd they say my name twice? That's weird. Wait, whoa, wait, I what? I won? And for me to get for my mom to be able to see that, to be there for that moment and see the fruits of her labor was so freaking cool. Um, but yeah, I was just doing stuff. I don't know. I was just doing what I could do. Yeah.
Did she say to you, see, I told you you should have went to that high school?
She's never I told you so. I try to say you were right before the I told you so. Um yeah, but I wouldn't let my parents come see the show.
That's understandable.
Yeah. And she saw a clip and she was like, "Were you on a poll?" I said, "Don't ask questions. I want an award. Just say yay."
Like I said, my first introduction to you was Be More Chill.
Mm-hmm.
I was lucky enough to see it off Broadway, and then I was lucky enough to see it on Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did Be More Chill come into your life?
Same way, hustling, grinding, and you just plant a bunch of seeds and then you see one sprout and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Um, and so uh yeah, we ended up doing it off Broadway, and I didn't know what it was. I mean, you do a show, you're trying to get a job, you're trying to hustle in your career, but I didn't understand the fandom
Mhm.
until off Broadway. The entire foyer was full of screaming Be More Chill fans who love this show.
Yeah.
They felt so connected to the piece and felt so seen. It was just a collection of oddballs. And can we talk about Stephanie Shu? Come on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she was in that show, and like she got to be her quirky, weird self, and we all got to do that thing. And so many stars have gone from that show, and it was such a
But she's
special,
also in SpongeBob. Lest we
you
forget
know
that.
what I mean?
Yeah.
She's so dope. She's just
Yeah.
so dope as a human. Beyond her talent, her
Mm,
heart is she's a really good person.
yeah.
Um yeah, and there I met Britton Smith,
Mhm.
who
He's actually, I went to Pace and he's a fellow Pace alumni. So I always get excited when I see people and I don't like, maybe we met in passing. We weren't the same year, but like I've heard about him. It was really exciting to see him be more chill. And I know you worked with him in his band as well.
yeah, we're in a band called Britton and the Sting.
Hmm.
Uh an incredible funk liberation band that has radicalized authenticity. It's more of an experience than it is just a concert when you go see it. It's like permission to be your most authentic self within a room of other people who are being themselves. Like
Yeah.
it's really, really cool the things that he has done, and to collaborate with him in that way and to get to know him from Be More Chill.
Hmm.
He actually off-Broadway, we were talking and I was like, yeah, I'd love to do vocal arrangements and sing background. And he was like, I'm trying to start a band and all that kind of stuff. And he came with a ring pop and got on one knee and was like, will you please be in my band? And so he proposed to me.
Beautiful.
And yeah, and now we've just adopted each other's cousins at this point. So if you see us out, we will introduce each other like, yeah, this is my cousin Britton, this is my cousin Tiffany. Like
Nice.
that's family now.
Yeah.
And they all came from Be More Chill.
Yeah. So Be More Chill. When did the news of it going to Broadway come to you?
We were in a rehearsal and they called us on stage and we're all in this circle and all the producers are there and we were like, okay, this is weird, what's going on? And they say, we are going to Broadway. And we all collapsed in tears and cheers and all that kind of stuff. And they were like, hey, guys, you can't tell anybody, we haven't announced it. What did we all do? Go and call people and tell everybody that we could tell immediately. I called my family. I was like, y'all, I'm about to go and have my first original role on Broadway immediately. What do you mean I can't tell nobody? I mean, like, it was just the parentals. I didn't like post it on social media or anything, but it was such an exciting time. We had worked so hard off Broadway, and this weird little show that could made
Mhm.
it to Broadway. It was a testament to sort of circumventing the typical ways of how a Broadway show makes it. It was the fans. It was the fans who made us successful. And we were there because of them. And I'm so grateful to each and every person who came to see the show, who made fan mail and drew pictures. And I still have some of the memorabilia here. It was an incredible ride.
Yeah. What I remember, so I think I went to like one of the first previews and I saw an understudy for Michael,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't remember his name, but the guy I saw as Michael is now one of the correspondents on The Daily Show.
Troy Iwata, I think is his
Yeah,
name.
Troy
Mm-hmm.
Wada. I'm like, oh my God, I saw
Yeah.
you in Be More Chill.
Oh yeah.
I remember seeing it on Broadway and how like the costumes were more, I don't want to say elevated, but like you had more money. So like the costumes
Mm-hmm.
were elevated.
Hun,
You
the
like
wigs were elevated.
yeah, like
Yeah.
everything. And like you even like as a fan of the show, there was like something for the fans to write on in the theater. Like,
Mm-hmm.
mhm,
Yeah, it was a show for the fans,
mhm,
and you felt like as a fan that you were a part of this experience. It was for you. You felt in it with
mhm.
us. It wasn't just a presentation that you got to observe. You got to be a participant.
Yeah. How does it feel to be an original Broadway cast album?
You throw your iTunes on shuffle and then like my name pops up.
Hmm.
It still is like little Tiffany is geeking out, man.
Hmm.
Like that's so cool. When we recorded it, and I was like, I get to put my spin on it. And from now on, whoever decides to do this show, they'll go back and like at least reference it and decide whether or not they want to go that route or another route. But they'll listen to it and do what and do what they do because of or in spite of what I did.
Yeah. Do you still have people, I mean, aside from me, come up to you and be like, oh my God, be more chill?
All the time. All
Okay.
the time. Like they will bring um the playbill from Be More Chill to another show. It's been plenty of playbills at City Center where they
Hmm.
were like, hey, I have my Be More Chill playbill. Can you sign it?
Hmm.
And the fandom was so strong. And I believe that during that time of people's lives, it was like, you know, middle school, high school, lots of people in very important parts of their adolescence
Yeah.
were drawn to that show. And so I think that, you know, it will forever be more
Yeah.
chill.
That's so weird. I just like thought of something. So, because that show, it's so funny to me too, being like an older theater person now, and you like look at the young people and you look at shows that are out now and the effect that it has on people, and then you think back to the shows that had effects on you at that age range.
Mm-hmm.
What shows around like middle school, high school, dare I even say college, like had the impact on you that you were kind of just like a fangirl of?
I was like sort of a quote unquote late bloomer as it
Hmm.
comes to musical theater. I didn't think that it was something that I could do. And it wasn't until I saw a production of Ain't Misbehaving on PBS, and I was like, wait. Oh, First of all, Miss Nell Carter
Hmm.
ate that up. Miss Armelia ate the whole cast ate that up. And I realized that I could do that. But as far as shows that like really had a chokehold on me, of course, Wicked, of course, Rent.
Hmm.
Um, but I was also very much a nerd for Sweeney Todd, baby. I
Okay, you know how many nerds are out there for I saw Sweeney for the first time because I am a late bloomer to Sondheim. I will admit it. I grew up on Rodgers and Hammerstein. I'm sorry. I
mm-hmm,
did. Give me
mm-hmm,
Sound of Music, South Pacific, what have you. But I saw Sweeney for the first time and I was sitting next to a guy who's like a huge Sweeney fan. And
mm-hmm.
so they have their fans and they're very particular. So yeah.
That was me. I remember we went on a trip my senior year of high school. Me and a few other people took a road trip to CCM,
Mhm.
Cincinnati Conservatory of Music. And the whole way there, we listened to musical theater albums. But when we got to the place where we were staying, we only watched the Angela Lansbury version of Sweeney Todd over and over and over. That's all we watched the whole time.
Mhm.
Just theater nerds. But yeah, that's the one that had an impact on me.
Wonderful. And so how does it feel for you to have similar impact with, I mean, dare I even say like Waitress, like even though yes, you had the Waitress original cast. Okay. Sorry, my calendar's like you have a Zoom meeting right now, which we've been in for a while. I mean, even with Waitress, you are a part of the Waitress family. I'm sure you still have people coming up to you about Waitress as well.
Yeah, actually, I don't think I've connected that idea until you just said that. Um, wow. I
I'll let you hold on. I'm gonna let you
yeah.
hold space for it. I'm just gonna sit here.
That's wild. What I did think about while I was in Be More Chill. Thankfully the production the song Smartphone Hour, they let me dance and sing, and I got to lead a production number center stage and like
Oh, I
belt
just
my face
remember you
off.
like jamming on your phone.
Honey, yes. And like
Yeah.
I just got to be um just my version of like what I feel like my high school self wanted to be as a cool girl.
Mhm.
And so I was very keenly aware of like me as a plus size Black woman center stage. I was aware of that, but I didn't think about like that is a marker for someone's part of their life. And I think that is so cool. And I hold that responsibility very, very dear. Um, yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. I would be remiss if I didn't speak to you about probably one of the greatest things I've seen at City Center, and probably one of the greatest things that I saw within the past year, which was Ragtime.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little emotional talking about it because I also would like to say I have manifested for years a revival, and I've talked about it on the podcast, a revival of Ragtime. Ideally, it would have been at Lincoln Center with Bart Sher directing, but I'll take any Ragtime. And I have manifested Brandon Uranowitz and Joshua Henry in those roles
Mm,
for years. What was the ragtime experience from your perspective? Because even just sitting in the audience and the multiple standing ovations, and just like, and again, I don't want to get political because I don't really get political, but my friends and I did see it after the election. And it's so wild that, the story takes place over 100 years ago, but it's still relevant to today.
Mhm.
What was that whole like experience of doing ragtime?
Well, first of all, from an artist standpoint, I our jobs is to sort of mark time,
Mhm.
and to be honest and truthful in those times. Um, and it was a master class, the two that you mentioned, but the entire principal cast.
Oh, yeah,
It
the entire principal cast was
it was.
fucking incredible.
I mean, the entire cast, everyone who had a hand in that show
Hmm.
really dedicated themselves to the truth.
Hmm.
Um, and uh, to hold Joshua Henry's hand as he heaved tears and then tried to sing on my own. I don't know how I did. I don't know how I don't it was an out of body experience because first of all, he's just a masterclass in just being yourself and being a student to the craft. To watch him discover in every moment and be authentically himself, that is a beast of a role to take on. um Especially because other mammoths have touched that role and you have expectations of what it should sound like and feel like. And I think he made it his, and
Hmm.
he was honest about where his version of Cole House was, and it was so beautiful to watch. um but not to get too political, but I remember the night after the election, however you voted, however you felt something,
Hmm.
right? And whatever you felt in the room, um it made it laborious. If I'm going to be very honest, it was because you have to still do your job.
Yeah.
Though whatever your feelings are in that moment, you have to do your job, and your job is to let the audience feel the things.
Hmm.
And so I have to sing a song about a funeral and all the things that happened leading up to that, and it was difficult. It was very, very hard. And I made a joke with City Center because we did that, and then we did Urinetown, and I was like, I'm tired of doing relevant shows. No, I don't want to be relevant anymore. I hope, my hope and prayer that one day that these shows are an examination of a time that we don't recognize,
Hmm.
and of subject matter that we don't recognize. Um, yeah, that it was so much fun. And Ragtime is right there with Sweeney Todd for me.
Yeah.
Those sung through scores, hun, give me a sung through score and I'm there, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was really cool.
Yeah. They did ragtime when I was in college, and I think like that was my first kind of like intro to it. And I was
Mhm.
so obsessed with it. I saw it 5 times when I
Mm.
was in college. And I've just been like wishing and I for some reason like missed the last revival, but I've just been wanting like a production of ragtime. And we had this. And like regardless of whatever, it was just such a wonderful production.
Mhm.
And I know that when people have like a very strong feeling about a city center production, they pray and they hope that it comes to Broadway.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people were like, this needs to come to Broadway. I mean, like nothing has been announced or said, but like, and I'm not asking, but I know that that was one of the shows that people were like, no, this production needs to come to Broadway like tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. City
Yeah.
Center is a really special place. Like I did Jelly's Last Jam as
Hmm.
well last year, and that was also one of those shows that had a lot of buzz and a lot of people wanted to
Hmm.
come to Broadway. I think that in the short amount of time that you have to get a City Center show on its feet, you don't have time to second guess your choices. You have to rely on your instincts. You
Yeah.
just dive in head first and just say yes, and be very present. And I think that that's what's special about the shows that you see. It
Mhm.
you see a lot of actors who don't get to mull over it too much and chew on it. Yet this
Mhm.
is what it is, and this is the truth right now.
Yeah.
And so I think that that is right in alignment with Ragtime as well.
Yeah. So let's stick with City Center because, like, like I told you before we started recording, I've been an admirer of you for a while and I've wanted to speak to you on the podcast for a while. And I'm like on my walk to City Center, I'm like, I really need to get Tiffany Mann on my podcast. I have to like figure out how to do that. And then I sit down in my seat, and then there you are as Penelope Pennywise that night. So how did Urinetown come to you? Because that was also like another, I saw that production on Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't like it, I will admit. But
Mm-hmm.
then they did it when I was in college, and I was like, this show is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was so excited about Urinetown. I'm also a huge fan of The Office. I have a tchotchke shelf over here, and on one of my shelves is a bobblehead of Dwight.
Yes.
So I got to see like Rainn Wilson and Kevin Cahoon and Jeff Hiller and you and Jordan Fisher just like sing his face off. And like Stephanie Styles, who's just like this beautiful singer. Like, how did Urinetown come into your life? What was that experience? Because it's such a fun show too.
Yeah. So I've done at this point I've done quite a few city center shows, so I have a great relationship with the team
Again, you're
there.
the princess of City Center. They have the stash. What did the stash say?
It says I think it says Miss City Center or
Oh, I
Queen
love
of
that.
City Center or something like that.
So,
What
like the next production you do, can they get you a crown?
I'm all for that. I feel like that would be appropriate.
Yeah.
Stephanie is actually the one who got me that sash because we both did ragtime together and we came in and did
Yes.
that. Hmm.
Hmm.
So you're in town. I went to audition and they were like, "Would you like to play a Soupy Sue?" And I was like, "What is a Soupy Sue?" And so I didn't know much about You're in Town. I heard the title and like many, I'm sure, got confused about is it you're in town? No, this is PP. Okay, right. That's what we're talking about. So I went and did my research, did the audition, acted like an absolute clown, and got in. And it was an assembly of all the clowns of all the land. We
Yeah.
just had so much fun in that room. And Teddy let us play. Our director let us actually play. And sorry, my calendar is telling us that we're here.
What's up with that? It's
I
okay. We're here,
don't
we're
know.
chatting, we're vibing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we got a chance to really play, and as you know, City Center has a very truncated rehearsal process. We put the show up in 10 days. And I have a bit of a soapbox, and I talk about this very freely at City Center in the building with the people, but it's it started off as a concert, as a stage concert readings. And so you have your binder and you sing the songs, and you get to hear these old musicals that you haven't heard in a long time, and it's really cool. Well, now it's full productions in 10 days. And so you're learning all this music and you're learning all this dancing. And, they say you can use your binders, and sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. And, that's a whole other thing. But, you look up and you do it. And you're like, wow, I did a very hard thing. And that was really cool. And we had a great time. They take very good care of you. And so we do opening night, and that's amazing. And so I've learned my track. And so I'm about to switch gears to learn the part that I understudy, which is Penelope Pennywise. And so the day after opening, I'm starting to learn my lines and learn the music and things like that. And I get a call that afternoon that I'm actually on as Pennywise. And so we go and we have 2.5 hours of rehearsal, and I figured out what clipboard, what wall, what plunger, whatever I'm gonna have my lines on because I don't know these lines yet. And I've been peeking at Kayala. Kayala Settle is a masterclass in, first of all, tomfoolery, but she's just really great at what she does because she's so honest about it. She's so real about it. Her 10 toes are on the ground about it. And she's going to do it in the way that she feels safest, and she's going to advocate for what she needs. It was great to get to watch her do her thing. And so I got the call, and you say yes, and you got to see me on as Pennywise. And it was a really cool experience. I felt so held, taken care of, and celebrated
Yeah.
by everyone around, and that was the only way I was able to do it.
Yeah. I will say, I think I saw like, I don't have TikTok, but everything ends up on Instagram. And I
Mm-hmm.
think I saw something that you were tagged in, or they tagged something in, and they're like, I got this thing that says I'm seeing Tiffany Mann. I'm excited. Like somebody else was also excited to see you as,
Oh, nice.
anyways. So it's not like a one-time thing. I would also be remiss as well if I didn't mention Hercules. And I say that because I have said other things I have said for years. I want to see Hercules because I want all those muses.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get to say we are the muses?
In a couple of iterations, yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's all I needed. It's
Yeah.
all I just needed to ask you if you were able to do it at some point,
Yes.
because that is a great Lilius White. We are the muses.
Miss
I mean,
Lilius came to see it at Paper Mill.
have you? Oh my God.
I got to sing it in front of her, which was both nerve wracking and also exhilarating. Like, you've inspired me for so many years. I want to give back to you. Let me, do the thing that you originated back at you. It was weird.
Yeah.
It's really cool. But I want to shout out those muses.
Yeah.
Those ladies
Mhm.
are not only talented, but they are some of the most loving human beings on the freaking planet. And we thought we were just getting a job, but I gained 5 new sisters. So we have a swing who named Shawnee, who was on there. But Charity, Stacy, Destiny, Rashidra, those are my girls, and they came from Hercules. I love them down. I love them down, 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 down.
Can we see a show at like 54 Below called like We're the Muses and you just like sing whatever you want to?
Yeah, let's
Okay,
let's let,
great.
let's put that in the works. Thank you for planting that seed.
You're welcome. I plant a lot of seeds on this podcast. We manifest a lot here. Like, I don't know if it works for some people, but in my head, it does.
I'm gonna text this group thread because we are still very much active in our group thread, and
Oh,
let's see what
please,
we can do.
please. And I'll be like, I just want you to say, we are the muses. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a video on YouTube of Alan Menken with Lilius White, oh my God, Donna Murphy, Judy Kuhn, and somebody else, and they talk about like how they sung these Disney songs.
Yeah.
He's at the piano, and and then they talk about Hercules, and so he's like, "All right, Lily, let's do it." And she goes, "We are the muses," and everybody is like, "Oh God!" Like even me, I'm like in my apartment watching because I'll sometimes revisit a YouTube clip, and
Mm-hmm.
I just like you get the full body like, "Oh God" moment.
Yes,
Yeah,
iconic, iconic.
Nick, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any like roles or productions that you would love to do? Like any dream roles or projects? I mean, maybe they're not written or maybe like you don't want to say, but I'm asking.
Speaking of Disney,
Okay.
I want to be the genie in Aladdin.
Yeah, make it
There's
happen.
no reason I can't be. And there's a precedence. Nell Carter was the genie in Aladdin on an award show. She sang Friend Like Me. It works.
Yeah.
I've gone through it. I can dance. I think it can happen.
The genie doesn't have to be bald unless you put on a bald cap. Like,
I can have one of those I can have a little ponytail, hun. You know what I mean?
I'm seeing it. You've worked for Disney before. You did Hercules.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think I like, and that's the goal. I want to make that happen. I
Yeah.
would like to be the genie in Aladdin.
Yeah. I
That's a
love that.
dream role.
I love that for you. I want
Mm-hmm.
that for you. God, that's so I'm actually like seeing it in my head now.
Yeah.
Huh. I
It'd be
can
a
see
lot of
the
fun.
funky eyebrows.
Yes. And
Yeah,
we'll find a place for the glitter and all that. We can make it happen. We can
I,
make it happen.
I love that. Anything else or just like, nope, just the genie.
Um, uh, I think anything else is not written yet, but I think that the premise of what I would like to do, I would like um to be able to fall in love on stage,
Hmm.
and roles for my type are not necessarily written. They're always like brass and like, or in your face. Or if there is a comment about me being loved, then it's like in spite of my size, or it's like, well, the only thing I want to do is be skinny. Like I write better.
Yeah,
Honestly, write better.
yeah,
And I in my own human experience, I have fallen in love. I am loved in a
yeah.
really beautiful way. I'm a vulnerable, flawed, nuanced human being, and I believe that those stories can live in any kind of body. And I want a team to be open enough to let this body embody something like that.
I love that. I forgot to ask before I asked you that question. Can we talk Devil Wears Prada quickly?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Devil Was Prada was so cool. First of all, Ariane Phillips was nominated for an Oscar for her movie where she was our costume designer there. And to see because I'm like, unfortunately, I'm similar to the lead in Devil Was Prada in the sense that like some clothes, right? And how important fashion is and how much thought goes into it. And she taught me so many things about fashion just within that production. And it we got hit with COVID pretty hard within our production during previews.
Mhm.
And just to watch everyone rally around and figure this thing out, it was just one of those things where you see the cogs of theater and the machinery of it all really at work. I had a great time in Chicago. The cast was amazing. Creative team was a great time. And I got to just sit there and look cute in cute clothes. It was awesome.
You got to see Beth Level as a redhead. I mean, who doesn't love that,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Just
She's a hoot. Oh, she's a
yeah.
hoot and a half.
I had
She's
her on. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was just saying she's incredibly talented,
Yeah.
but and also a hoot. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I had her on my podcast a while back and I
Mhm.
got to ask her about The Devil Wears Prada. So that was also just super fun to get like intel from Miranda Priestley herself.
Yes.
So speaking of like watching people, any top going theater experiences?
Top going theater. Let me see. Uh the one that pops in my head, I know no names of the show. I know no names of the actors. I just remember sitting at Dallas Theater Center and uh there was a scene where this lady was getting some bad news and she held herself together and you watched her scene after scene crack and crack and crack until there was this one scene where she was standing in front of a tree and there was rainfall and you watched her fall apart.
Mhm.
And that sequence of watching her crack, I was like, oh, a lot of people put a lot of emphasis, not like people in this industry, but people who don't know about this craft, like, can you cry on command? And it's never ever about that. It's about trying not to cry. It's
Yeah.
about trying to hold yourself together. That's what we all do. And to watch this woman try her best to hold herself together and finally everything just falls apart, to see such humanity on stage made me realize that this craft is bigger than like saying words
Mhm.
with some feeling, and that it is about the idiosyncrasies of the human experience.
Yeah. I mean, you also have done some film and TV work. Like you even got to go to Sundance for a short.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called You Go Girl.
Oh, you go, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you
Um,
want to do more film and TV stuff?
Absolutely. It's I love theater. I love the immediate connection with the audience. I love in real time that this experience is singular and it won't happen again. It's never happened before. But film is and television is its own way of storytelling, and you get in there, like you get to get inside somebody's eyes
Yeah.
and they think it and you see it.
Mhm.
The film I got a chance to do for Sundance was so cool. We were in Oregon and I literally had to climb mountains in Oregon. I had the bruises to prove it. It was really amazing. I got to be a stand-up comedian. I got to see all the beautiful nature that is there. Um, and then when we got the news that we were going to Sundance, I was like, wait, what? And then it showed in the theater here in New York, and me and my friend went to go see it. And I was like, I'm on a movie screen. I'm in the movies. That was so cool. And you can watch it on YouTube. It's called You Go Girl. It's a short. Um, but that was one of the cooler experiences of TV and film.
Amazing. So let's do some inside the actor studio questions. Are you
Sure.
ready?
Yeah.
Okay. What is your favorite word?
My favorite word. Womp.
Incredible.
Yeah.
What is your least favorite word?
My least favorite word is can't.
Because again, do it anyway.
Do it anyway. Do
Yeah.
it anyway. Yes.
Do it anyway. Sorry, like now it's in my head when I
Hon, and it'll get you pumped.
Oh,
Anytime
it
you're trying to
does.
figure out what you got to do, listen to that song. It'll get you pumped, hon. Okay.
I will say, like, just like total side note of what we're doing with the actor studio questions. I listen to music when I'm getting ready in my bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
and I tend to dance around in my bathroom because I'll put on like, music to get ready to.
Yeah.
Your song, I am like booty shaking.
Yes.
Nobody's business. Luckily, nobody's looking at me, but still. Okay, back to the questions. What
Back to the
turns you on?
um silliness, actually. Like just uh like that type of like the goofy that you think like you can only do when no one's watching, that type of
Mhm.
stuff. Like just silly, goofy, fun. Yeah, that's my jam.
What turns you off?
Judgmental people. I think humans are just trying to do their best at most of the time, and if they slip up, then they're just being human and making a mistake. Like, just give grace.
Do you think people are more judgmental when they say, I'm not judgy. I don't judge. Do you think people who say I don't judge are the ones who actually judge?
Because if you say I don't judge and you say but, you just negated everything you said in the beginning of that sentence, and
Hmm.
you're about to say something judgmental. I just believe in giving people grace,
Yeah.
um, holding people accountable
Hmm.
with kindness. I don't believe in being nice and letting things skate over. Advocate for yourself. Say what you need to say.
Hmm.
Be honest, but I don't think that. I think that you should understand that like people have to grow and sometimes they have to learn out loud and give them safety and space to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that turns me off. Ugh.
Ugh. Moving on. What is your favorite curse word?
Shit. And I say it with the like most southern shit, like with the most southern
Shit.
drawl. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. I should say it now with the southern. I'm from Long Island, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a southern accent, but maybe I should do it with a
Yeah, my
southern.
favorite way to say it is a drawn out, um, like someone said something that's unbelievable and you don't know me type of thing. It is shit. Yeah, it's in that vein. Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. I I take that with you, and it's forever on pod.
Yeah.
What sound or noise do you love?
Laughter, I guess, is the answer. But my family and I play this game called the excuse me game. And it's where you make the most random sound and you say excuse me as if you did something completely normal. So you go, wah, wah, wah. Excuse me. Like it's just, and it sort of breaks the ice if there's any sort of tension in the air. And you do that and we all move forward. But I think my favorite sound is the sound of people's laughter.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Chewing,
Interesting.
just masticating. You know, I can't, I have to turn on music or the TV or something like that if someone is, and I'm not judging you. I just know what I need and I need noise to drown out your chewing, please.
When you hear yourself chewing though, does that drive you
I
crazy?
turn on music and TV or so I don't want to hear myself.
Interesting.
Something about the noise is like I just can't stand it. Yeah.
So you never go out to eat at restaurants.
Restaurants are usually loud.
Oh, the touche.
They're
Touche.
usually loud, especially like there's a scientific experiment where they pump up the music at certain times because it encourages you to spend more money.
Mhm.
So they're
Yeah,
usually very loud.
I believe that. Or they just like dim the lights to make it more romantic. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Let's see. What profession other than yours would you like to attempt?
What I like to attempt. Oh. Um the first thing that's coming to mind is optometry, but like you can't attempt optometry. You just can't attempt that. But that
You can attempt it. I mean, listen, it's whatever you want.
whatever I want, optometry then. I think it's really fascinating how vision works and perception of it all.
Mhm.
I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if
What
you can tell I'm a nerd. I don't know. I don't know if you can tell. I don't know.
I'm a nerd too. I created an entire podcast about my theater nerdness.
Yes.
Like, everybody's a nerd about something, and that's what's
Yes.
so great about people
Yes.
most of the time. What profession would you not like to do?
mm, what profession? I could be a mortician. I couldn't do it. Someone has to do it, and there are people who are very passionate about it, and kudos to them. And we thank you so much. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Fair. That's fair. All right. And finally, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Well done, my good and faithful servant. That's what I want to hear.
It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany, before we go, I just like you give such great energy and you're always so positive on your Instagram. What do you want the people listening to the podcast? Like what like Tiffany Mann advice would you give out to the world, to the people listening?
I will share with you what season I'm in right now. I'm in a season of trying to be brave, right? It is in alignment with my song, but it's more so understanding how you are spoken to, whatever your belief system is, that voice that guides you, that thing that tells you what brings you joy, that thing that shows you the way, being able to tap into that and listen to that and be brave enough to act on it, because it's going to work out for you. You, as long as you are treating people well and trying to do well, even if it doesn't work out perfectly, it's gonna be okay. And so I would encourage everyone to be brave and take leaps of faith and say hello to your neighbors and tell your friends how awesome they are. Be brave. Be brave.
Yeah. I just like to thank you on a personal note for that because I'm going through something right now. So that is
Mm-hmm.
very helpful. I mean, I can tell you it's not like Crimea River, but we can chat after we're done recording. So we're not doing Love Life, which is fine. You're doing
Mm-hmm.
something else which you can't talk about, which is fine. But do you want to create more music? Is there going to be a sequel to do anything? Or
I believe that there's lots of music. That's a part of the being brave, right? And so I wrote that song about being afraid to put out a song. Sort of like, Sarah Bareilles was like, I'm not gonna write your love song. I wrote a song about like, I'm afraid, I'm scared of those judgmental people who are gonna say that like your song is not that great, you're not actually that great of a singer, stick to doing the things that we have already seen you do. And so I think being in that continuing in that vein of being brave, I have more music. I just have to be brave enough to go ahead and put it out. And so I'm practicing what I preach, and it's in the works.
that's wonderful. Well, Tiffany, thank you so much for coming on. It was so delightful speaking with you. And I'm so happy we were able to do this.
Yes, I'm so glad that you had me here. I'm just very grateful to get to chat with you. It's been a great time.
Yeah. Well, everyone, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.